I doubt there are many things in this world anyone would call perfect. In fact, perfection in itself is impossible due to our different interpretations or it physically being impossible. Continuing, just as we as humans are imperfect, that also means that the things that we create, like art, science, and math, are also flawed at their core. And it's because of these imperfections that art is so enjoyable. There's something wrong with it, but there's also something great about it. It's the same with human beings. All that to say, I believe I found something perfect. Something so brilliant in its design, narrative, and execution that I believe it to be truly genius. I'm talking about none other than The Legend of the Brofist, created by PHILLIPS and Outer Minds. The same Legend of the Brofist with an incredible and star-studded cast, including PHILLIPS himself, his wife Marcia, the #1 Death Stranding 2 spoiler Jacksepticeye, the other genius Markiplier, and the Ken of Broken, Cinematographer, among others of course. Yes, I understand that the first few seconds of my video are now a lie, but it's different in this context. Legend of the Brofist transcends humanity, and since humanity is imperfect, that makes it impossible for a single piece of art to be perfect. As I go through this video, I hope to showcase as to how and why this game has transcended humanity to become perfect. But since my video is a human creation, I understand that this is not a perfect showcase of the game, but I would still like to talk about it. I don't see a lot of people talk about this game, and I think that more people should play it. Before I jump into my analysis of Legend of the Brofist, I'd like to make a point that this video is 100% serious. Everything I say in this video is a fact, and it cannot and will not be disputed. And honestly, you should probably thank me for giving the best possible human explanation of this masterpiece of a game. I'll await for your applause. Now, I believe I've talked a little too much, so let's just jump into what makes this game so perfect.
Colonel, what'd you call me here?
Nick, it's nice to see you. There's a concern only you can handle.
Of course it's only me.
And again, no smoking. Nick, please.
No, not again. I'm not being your #1 dog.
Nick, please. There's no one else I can call.
What about that new guy Kevin I keep hearing about? He seems great for the job.
He's in Alaska dealing with a separate threat.
Oh, so I'm the #2 dog.
Not at all. I actually would have called you first anyways. You are the investigative expert after all.
Referencing the investigation that caused a rift in my family?
I'm sorry. Hate me all you want, Nick, but you and I both know we can't change the past. You and I both know how serious this is, and you and I both know how good you are at our job. A single lead can get you to the answer.
This is too silly.
And walking robots isn't? I know you've missed the lull of adventure, the thrill that keeps you awake and alive.
Make me sound more stereotypical here, innit?
Aren't we all?
Besides, I don't even have any leads. The only lead I can think about is probably my brother, and you know how well that's going.
I mean, we can certainly get on a call with him. I can assure you, if that's all that's needed, Nick, we can make it happen. And you know, maybe you should think of this as a way of... Hell, maybe we can even share a smoke together after all this. You know, you already look dressed for the job.
Fine. I'll do it. I'm sure it's safe.
Already accounted for, Nick.
I know I'd said I'd hop into what makes this game so perfect, but I think looking into its development gives everyone a good insight into the finished product. So allow me to give a brief history of the game. I'll be honest, it was kind of hard to figure out exactly what happened as there isn't much information to go off of. Other games have entire Wikipedia pages based off them, and Legend of the Brofist does too, but I fear there isn't much in terms of the development. According to Outer Minds' About page on their website, they talk briefly about their time with PHILLIPS and the Legend of the Brofist. Apparently, after the four people SYLVAIN, Nicholas, Alexandre, and GUIZ created Tadpole Tep, they entered a game jam organized by PHILLIPS. This was a real event called Indies vs. PHILLIPS, where game devs had 72 hours to make a complete video game, the theme being fun to play and fun to watch. I can't find much on what they did for the game jam, but apparently Felix liked it so much that he reached out to make a complete game. Also, as a side note, Tadpole Tap looked like a decent game too. It appears to be an infinite scrolling game or get the highest score kind of game. Not really my cup of tea, but it looks high quality. It reminds me a lot of Tuber Simulator in its style. There are, however, 2 videos Felix put out himself in the months before the game's release in September of 2015. He first started talking about the idea of the game in December of 2014 in Let's Make a Game. Already from the title, it's clear what Felix wanted to do from the game. In the video, he shows some early gameplay of a generic platformer with a model of himself. He doesn't talk about what the game would be like at all, narrative or gameplay, but this is on purpose. He turns the conversation to his fans and asks what kind of game they want to play. Already, I love this. Obviously, he's no AAA company that only cares about money. Even now, I don't think he's nearly as money hungry as AAA companies and probably just wants to live his life doing what he loves, being a genuine man. I think this shows his genuine nature. He wants to make a game, something he said he's wanted to do for a long time, but he wants to make it for his fans. Not for himself, but for his fans to enjoy. I love this sentiment. So scrolling through the comments, you can see several ideas, a lot of which ended up in the final game too, which I also love. I'm not sure if they looked at all 42,000 comments, probably not, but it's interesting that so much of it actually ended up in the game. Again, showing that Felix wanted to make this game for his fans, not just for himself. In fact, the name of the game, among literally everything else, Legend of the Brofist, was decided upon a vote of the fans, which I imagine impacted the plot a lot. This is just so fucking sick. Imagine being alive during this time, being a massive Felix fan. Even if your voice wasn't heard, it's clear that everyone had a part in this vision. This game, from the beginning, embodied the idea of collaboration, which in my opinion embodies art, as Kojima agrees too, though this video was not necessarily about him. His second video, the Felix game, shows off more of what the final game would be. Here, he shows off a combination of the stages, glaciers, and Yeti's Mountain from the North Pole. I'm guessing it was just for show, like how film trailers sometimes lie and show things that are different or just aren't in the final product. It also shows an early version of the map. It seems to be much more open, or maybe it's just not that complete. I don't know, I can't tell from Felix's big head stopping me from seeing it. Though to be fair, I don't think he wanted to show off much. Doesn't matter. It seems there was a whole nother area, like a chemical thing. I don't know. It's unfortunate that this game seems to have current content. Again, I don't know much about the production of this game, but I imagine it was for the better if it was cut. This leads to the game being released about 5 months after the second video came out on September 15th, 2015 for mobile devices. Later, it'd be released for PC platforms such as Steam, which is what I played on. Now, we can finally enter the analysis of the genius of this game.
Hello? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll get to it in a bit. Actually, right now I have a meeting I need to get to. Over as always, huh? What's with the hat?
It's the only size you got. I'll make it work though. Seems like we're always working.
Yeah, I do freelance now. Is this where you want me to come over though? Have a quick chat?
Unfortunately not. Oh?
I quit that shit a long time ago. Get that cancer out of my face.
Fix yourself. When'd you quit? Before or after Atomized?
Don't mention that around me, Nick.
Well, fortunately, that's why I'm here.
Huh. I kind of figured you wouldn't be here out of brotherly love.
Just says I couldn't visit just because.
Do we have to get into this right now?
I mean, I guess not.
Just ask the question so we get this over with. I don't want to be here all day.
Alright. Well, I don't have much to go off of. But I know you worked at Outer Minds. How long? Were you there during the development of Legend of the Brofist?
Yeah, I was one of the founders. We just launched a small title before meeting. Him.
Pewdiepie?
Felix. Yeah.
You talk about him like he's some evil mastermind. I don't think I've seen him twirling a handlebar mustache.
What do you know about him?
Fair point.
It's not like he doesn't have a black dog.
Aren't villains supposed to have black cats?
Yeah.
So what happened after meeting him? Did you fall into some sort of evil plan?
No, Felix was a nice guy, quite charming in conversation, and actually cared about the people that supported him.
So what's with the dramatic introduction?
Well, it wasn't until after we met Felix that things started to shift.
How so?
Well, initially when we started, we wanted to do well, but we didn't know how to do that. We wanted to please every bro. Alexandre wanted to as well, but he just knew it wasn't possible. Felix, however, said that it was, and we just had to make it perfect.
Perfect. The idea of perfect is virtually impossible, especially for a game like that. It's anything but perfect. It's just meh.
It can't. It can't be, because it wasn't. Anyway, that's all I know, Nick. Please just get out already.
I mean, I can, but like, don't you have some leads I can pick up, or
just leave, please.
some old
I don't wanna
acquaintances
do
that
this
knew
right
PewDiePie
I
that
just-
still work at Outer Minds?
I told
maybe.
you everything that I know. Please just go.
Come on.
Have a good day.
Shit.
Well, there goes the first and only suspect off my list. Thought he may give some good information, but it only made this whole case more confusing. He built PewDiePie to be a villain of some sort, and later put it down. Wait. He did mention an Alexandre. I'll have to look into him to see if there's anything I could get from him.
If there's anything you take away from this video, it's how incredible the gameplay is. I remember enjoying the way it played as a kid, jumping on barrels and using Edgar and Maya's farts to my advantage, and yes, that's a real ability and is probably the most normal thing about this game, but returning to this game just about a decade later, I was shocked to see how much it still held up. All the systems and mechanics felt as nice as they did as a kid. Now, that's a rare feeling, to have nostalgia be telling the truth. The game is very simple at its core. It's a platformer where you travel across the world, and even beyond it at one point, where you stomp on barrels of all different types, get checkpoints, meet your friends, and defeat bosses. If you're a fan of Mario, I'm sure you'll enjoy the way the game plays. You'd expect a YouTuber game to be extremely easy or even unpolished, but I beg to differ, especially on both points. Now there's an in-game difficulty system ranging from easy, hard, which is basically just normal, bro, acting as hard, and pug mode. Pug mode is the one-hit mode. You only have one life and you also don't have power-ups, and you also play as Felix's pugs. That last one is unlocked after beating the game and is by far the hardest one. I played the game on hard mode and that was already difficult enough, I feel. But if you're welcome to the challenge, these are excellent difficulty options. If you see my other video, you'll know I do not like difficulty options a lot of times. Oftentimes they just make enemies more spongy or things take more time for no good reason besides making the game harder, like Skyrim's legendary difficulty. However, while these modes do make the game harder, they also have additional challenges to make it more difficult too. Honestly, I only really did the first stage in these harder modes, but as an example, they add more items for Felix to dig up until he's able to leave. Some stages also add more dangerous barrels, or some even give additional phases to bosses, but I'll save that for later. Basically, the moment you start the game, you're given a lot of good options on how to do each stage. And each stage has its own difficulty setting, meaning if you're struggling at a part, there's no shame in sliding the difficulty down. Or you can increase it if you feel like getting a challenge. Or more money! I forgot to mention you get a bigger multiplier with money the higher the difficulty is.
But what is the point of the money?
Well, I'm glad you asked. This game has an in-game currency titled Bro Coins, a very original name. These act like any other in-game currency, though you don't have to purchase any microtransactions. It isn't that kind of currency. As said before, you'll get more based on how many you collect in a stage, how often you and your companions die, and your difficulty.
Now, again, what is the point of this money? You didn't answer my question.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Essentially, these are used to buy upgrades. Do you want more hit points? You can buy them. Do you want additional characters? You can buy them. Do you want new abilities to use during the game? You can buy them! I think these coins are well dished out in the game where, if you stick with a single character like I did, then you should be fine when it comes to fully upgrading them, buying all their abilities and hit points. I think that's what was in mind when they made this game. There are many additional characters in the game, but none of them play differently per se. Well, I guess this is a good enough segue to talk about them then. When it comes to total characters, there are 7 you can play as in every level. As said before, each stage has their own menu to select which person you'd like to play as on what difficulty with what power-ups, so if there's ever a stage that works better with character A but another works better with character B, then this is how you do it. These characters are where the star-studded cast I mentioned earlier come into play, as they all have their own little moments before becoming unlocked. I'll talk about my thoughts on them in the next part, but I do think they're all nice. When it comes to the base moveset, they're mainly the same. They jump the same, stomp the same, run the same, they're not too different there, except each of them have a different special ability that is unique to them. Felix has the Brofist ability that acts as a massive screen wipe. Continuing, Marcia has Maya Ride, which acts like a superstar from Super Mario Bros. Where she kinda just glides around and is invincible. Markiplier has the Pink Sash, which gives him wings and a double jump too. Very useful to find all the patches for the secret 7th character I'll talk about in a moment. Cinnamon Toast Ken has Bear Hat Fusion, which makes him turn into a bear via the hat, and go invincible too. Jacksepticeye has Keep an Eye on You, which turns Jack into a giant Septiceye, makes him invincible, and shoots lasers out from his eyes. Finally, out of the main characters, there's Cryotic, who has the Mask of Cuteness, which turns all of his enemies, except for bosses, into little sups, as the game puts it. They'll still deal damage to you, but they're just passive little dudes you can avoid or stomp on. Now, there's one secret character in the game, that being the Duck, that you can unlock after getting the 50 main patches. That may sound like a lot of work, but it's really not, at most just time consuming. They also have a special ability, but it's not necessarily unique to them, as Felix also has it. You see, the Duck has Power Duck, which again acts as invincibility, but as the Duck. I think this is unlocked after unlocking the Duck? I don't know, it's a little confusing. This character is also a little unique in another light because they can glide, slightly, which is kind of nice. This leads into something else the characters have, just a tiny bit of customization. There aren't massive skin packs you can choose from that will massively change the character's appearance, but they each have 4 skins, including their main design, which is what they look like as a YouTuber. I won't go too deep through all these, but I find it really cool how these are all unique and are special to that YouTuber's personality. It even changes the in-game art, even for the characters you aren't necessarily playing as, though it'll only take effect after you unlock them, which is probably the only scene they have, unfortunately, but it's still super cool. I also really like how each of the lives in this game act as a mascot of that YouTuber. Felix is his dogs, Jack has Septic Sam, Mark has Tinybox Tim, which is really cute, and I don't even know if he remembers him at all, so on and so forth. Again, all of these characters just have so much personality, and their movement is top notch too. Everything is animated so beautifully. Every character has a different idle animation too. Like Markiplier has his arms crossed and tapping his foot like he's an impatient mom waiting for his kid to buy the game already. But Jack is moving up and down, clearly more energetic and ready for more. This goes for when they crouch, run, jump, activate a power-up. They all breathe so much and are full of so much life. Their hair moves and their mouths are agape. It reminds me a lot of how much the Castlevania characters move during their own animations, though obviously not nearly as much, as Outer Minds is a small 7-person team, while Konami is, much bigger. It's still super impressive, and I love that they took the time to make their animations just a bit more lively. And these are all unlocked by the coins. It just goes to show how important and useful these coins are when you're going through the game. You could be missing out on so much content if you just decide not to stomp on a few barrels, or that you don't really care about a new power-up. Trust me, you'll like the new abilities. They're all very unique and very fun to mess around with. Play around with them. You can always grind for coins for a bit in case you're scared of losing money. It's not hard at all to get back.
You've talked about all the things that go on before entering the game, but what about the game itself? Is it fun? Is it smooth? Does it feel nice to play?
Well, of fucking course it is! I've already talked about how good the game looks, but it also feels so nice. Every stage that you run and jump around feels so tight. It feels polished. That kind of love and care only a small studio of 7 can accomplish, which I hope by the end of this video you'll have decided to do. This is mentioning everything but the actual stages themselves. They too are impeccable. It baffles me sometimes that this was created by such a small team because this quality is one I'd only expect from Kojima's team. The map is split into what I'd call 8 sections between the 21 main stages. Felix's Paradise Island, Nostalgia Skies, North Pole, Mines, Castlevania, Africa, App, and the Moon. As you can see, there's a massive variety as Felix goes all across Earth, and even beyond at one point. I'm not going to talk about these in much narrative detail, as I'll be saving that for later. I'll also be saving the bonus stages for later as well. Something I find fascinating is how each area of the map has its own gimmick, which may carry over for multiple stages too. It could be a hardcore platforming between cars, animals, or trees where one wrong jump could mean death, slippery slopes with windy air pushing you in every direction, battles in the air, or even gravity changing up on you right at the end of the game. It keeps the game fresh and exciting. Right when you may feel you're getting used to the North Pole, now you're in the exact opposite environment with the mines, where you're dodging spikes and riding elevators through the rocky and dangerous place. This isn't even where the dynamic stages stop, as your items react to the environment too. For example, should you lose a life or a coin in the North Pole, you'll notice that the items will freeze. The same thing happens in the mines, you'll notice it will break. Or they just fucking explode. This is something I've yet to mention. The game is extremely gory. You lose a life? Well, your pugs are going to explode into a million pieces and you're going to watch every part of them fly everywhere like a sick joke.
What about yourself?
Well, you're exploding too. It's a little shocking as, in my experience, I typically associate these pixel platformers with an E for everyone vibe. Not that this game is exactly a kid's game, but that this game is going to be a little on the safer side. Especially because I don't remember any vulgar language or weird comments. I was wrong, however, as people just explode. Not even just people, but barrels too. In fact, it was extremely tragic to see. Honestly, it was 2015 and this is Felix we're talking about. My theory is that they saw the crazy gore that was in the now old fan games he played, like Pewdiepie, or the rage games he played like Default Dan, and noticed the crazy amounts of gore and thought,
Clearly, they like this.
it's not off the wall Mortal Kombat insane, but it's shocking enough for me to note. What about the conflict through these levels? The things that may just make you explode? Well, there's no lack of enemy variety in this game either. The main type in the enemy you're introduced at the beginning of the game are the barrels. At first you may think,
Hey, am I just gonna fight barrels the whole time?
but you'd be wrong. Sure, you fight a lot of barrels, but they're incredibly unique. Much more unique than another thing to stomp on. Soon you'll be introduced to barrels that fly, barrels that roll on the floor or even hop around, barrels that shoot gas, which I can only imagine is a fart, barrels that shoot lasers at you, or some that just explode and you have to figure out how to deal with. Hell, there are whole barrel families you'll come across with mothers that, when killed, spawn barrel children. But let's say you're worried about just fighting barrels? Well, by stage 3 you'll be in the sky, and you're now going to fight seagulls, aliens, flying unicorns, and barrels and planes. Still too many barrels for you? Okay, well how about a fucking dinosaur? Giant mice that suicide bomb you? Pigeons? Amalgamations of flesh that spit acid at you? Sharks with rockets on it? Giant whales that fall from the sky? Beautiful women that turn into monsters that shoot projectiles at you? Werewolves and skeletons? Elephants and penguins? What about the creator of the game's music? I've honestly only cracked into the surface of these game's enemies. There's certainly no end to them. Sure, the main enemies may be barrels, but even they don't stop coming in unique ways. You are never going to feel bored against the enemies you fight because you'll never stop expecting another great thing to pop up at you. I know I mentioned the creator of the game's music, but what about actually plays during these stages? If you never wanted to play this game, go ahead. You may be missing out, but that's your fault. But I think you should definitely listen to the soundtrack. There are over 30 songs made for this short little game, and they're all unique and incredible. Even listening to one, which you probably have at one point, you'll probably be transported into the old chiptune or 8-bit style of the 80s and 90s. But the music isn't held back by this. In fact, it's only supported because of this decision. Instruments can be simple, but they can layer themselves so that it can create a genuinely euphoric experience when you hear them. Or that allows them to branch out to a sound so different, but like they all belong under the same umbrella. In fact, why don't you just go ahead and give it a listen, yeah? I have a few tracks that I think are totally stand out and my favorites of the OST so far. Some of these tracks are crazy and I feel like I have to talk about them further. Some I'm going to save for later, but I love the stage end theme so much. Victory. Every single time you end a stage, you get this ending song that just screams,
You finally did it!
even if the stage isn't that hard, you still did it. But it feels nice when you beat a really hard boss. Final boss. Even the end screen is meant to make you happy. I mean, you see Felix or whatever character you're playing as dancing as the rewards and stats come at you on beat. It's so nice. There's still a lot to talk about when it comes to the gameplay, but I don't want to keep the story waiting forever. I think it's time to begin the analysis of the breathtaking story the game delivers.
You have to be so formal. You can take off your stuff, make yourself at home. So you want to know about my role in Outer Minds?
Yep. Just tell me what you did, Mr. Alexander.
Well, Alex is just fine. You can call me Alex. Well, you know, I used to work on the program of all the games. That was before my promotion, you know, now I kind of just relax.
So you retired from programming?
Sure.
Tell me about the other higher-ups.
You don't have to ask me that. I'm sure you could just, you know, you can look it up online.
I could, but I'm asking you now. It's easier to just ask you instead of looking it up, right?
Is the entire point of this interview to ask me questions you could easily look up online?
No. What about the games you worked on in Outer Minds?
Well, you know, I've worked on them all. I've been there since the beginning of the company.
As a programmer?
Yeah, I made Tadpole Tap, Legend Tuber Simulator, and Turbo.
Wait. What was the second one you mentioned?
Legend of the Brofist? How much do you know?
So you worked on Legend of the Brofist. Tell me about that.
What about it? You know, it was great. We got to work with Felix directly. It was great, and you know, it was obvious he wanted to make something with his fans.
Was he antagonistic at all? Maybe even evil?
What does that even mean?
Never mind. Tell me about production. Did anything happen that made you uncomfortable?
What? Like what?
Did PewDiePie do anything?
Well, no. We were located in Montreal. He was in the UK. We rarely met with Felix in person.
Something may happen over the phone?
No, nothing happened with Felix.
Okay. At least tell me how you got promoted.
I'll tell you, because I'm a hell good worker.
Listen, you better start taking me seriously. Because if you didn't realize, there's a massive virtual pandemic that is making people in love with your fucking game. I know you are one of the people who worked on the game, so you better start talking or things will get serious. Got it?
What virus? I've never heard of a virus.
Why are you lying to me? Why are you trying to hide what is happening?
I'm not.
You're telling me 100% on Steam is normal? 5 out of 5 on iOS? Too?
Maybe it's just that good. I mean, I thought it was that good.
Ah, but you see, the last negative comment made was in September of 2024. There has been no other negative comments made. Don't you find that a little weird?
I mean, not when you're proud of your work. I mean,
Or do you have it too?
what?
Say one negative thing about Legend of the Brofist.
That's like my baby, dude. That's like asking a mother to insult their child.
And if it is a brat, I'm sure she would. Or is meant to be critiqued, no? What's the point if you can't see the flaws of it?
I couldn't possibly imagine my baby.
There has to be one thing negative about the game. Come on, let's hear it. So you are infected. As I said, there has not been a single negative comment for over a year. A year.
Okay. Is it even really that weird? I mean, like, no one even plays the game anymore.
No, but it's weird that people who originally hated the game are now completely on board with it.
Oh.
Did you not even know yourself?
No, I didn't know anything that happened in the background.
I thought you were higher up.
Yeah, but only on the surface. I got promoted after the old vice GUIZ left. Based on what we've talked about, I don't think you knew much either.
So this is CEO level concern?
I guess. I mean, I don't know anything that happens.
Then tell me your CEO, your president.
SYLVAIN SAVARD. But I'll warn you, we've seen them less than we've even seen Felix around here in person. I mean.
Thank you, Alex.
I have to preface this by saying I understand that this is a very simple story, but that doesn't mean it's not a good one. That goes for anything, and honestly, everything in this game. Simple but good. Just like the enemies or music or the stages themselves, the story oozes with creativity in a way that cannot and should not be replicated, because it's unique to Felix and his fans. The game opens up with this beautiful shot of the entire map, or like 80% of it. It has this amazing theme, the one I just played a second ago, that makes you feel like you're about to go on an incredible quest, like you're the hero standing upon the mountain, but in reality, it's Felix. Clicking start, you see the intro of the game. Felix has just finished a video and is ready to deliver it to his fans, only to see that his view count is low when it has actually been taken by his arch nemesis, barrels. You're not given your first objective, find Marcia. I love this first level. It's a massive version of Felix's home, not that I know how big his home actually is, where you have to dig up clothes to find different parts of Felix's character he's going to take on this adventure. It really jumps into the action, as there are different barrels trying to kill you. And, as I've said before, the different difficulties invite more things and more barrels for you to deal with. Eventually, you'll get Marcia, Edgar, Maya, and Stefano, or the necessities, and set off after getting your car keys. This is until you get a call from... Wait. That sounds familiar. What is that from? Oh shit! It's Rumi's song about Felix! His first song he made about Felix in mid-2014. It's a chip-tuned interpolation of the song, and I just love that. It's such a tiny detail that you may not notice if you skip past the ringing animation like I did before I did the research for this video. Again, it goes to show the incredible attention to detail. Back on track, the Barrel King is calling. He sounds a little familiar.
There's no point in running.
I can't really place my finger on it. Not really that important, as the king himself just declared there's no point to it all, as he has all of Felix's fans. He also brings up the legendary Brofist, which confuses Felix. We aren't really told what it is until much later, which I appreciate. The Barrel King even insults him for not knowing, as if he should already know. Marcia then tells him to go off and do it, but not because she's a stereotypical princess cheering for the warrior, but because she's just fucking lazy and wants to slouch around while the entire fate of the world is on the line. Thank you for being realistic, Outer Minds, the average human being. One mission in and we know everything. The main players, the main antagonist, and the drive to save our fans, as well as the mystery of the legend of the Brofist. Obviously, the game is called Legend of the Brofist, not Legendary Brofist. It's similar enough, but not the exact same vocabulary, that it makes you question the connection between the two, or if it really is just the same thing. The next mission starts off with a chase away from General Barrow, who is on a fucking tank and apparently is able to keep up with the flow of traffic. Typical LA traffic or something, I don't know. Felix is able to avoid this by jumping car to car until he gets cornered. Here, we see how, even in the darkest of times, Felix still holds true to his fans in his ultimate mission. It isn't over just yet though, as he gets a sudden call from... a pink mustache? Markiplier! He apparently has a fucking jet?
Oh my god.
Yeah, Felix. Me too. I guess he must be rich after that collaboration. They leave General Barrow in the dust and take to the skies. We see Markiplier absolutely shred through the forces of the Barrow army with his jet until he kicks us out. Something about jet fuel? Fuck you, Mark. At least we got these propeller planes. After going through the skies, we eventually bump into General Barrow again. Except this time he's on a fucking flying tank. This is only one stage later. This guy locked the fuck in and attached boosters and a minigun to the tank in a matter of minutes. Off the bat, we see how crazy cracked this barrel is. I guess he's not a general for nothing, huh? Hell, even Felix is shocked too. This serves as the first boss fight of the game, and god is it good. It introduces you pretty well to how the bosses of this game are going to be. This game focuses very hard on gimmicks rather than just surviving until the boss is done, which I like. General Barrel has 5 things for you to destroy. Front minigun, back minigun, tank barrel, blue batteries or something like that, and finally the boosters on the tank. In between each phase, you have a short wave of barrel minions that you'll have to at least survive through, though they might drop some stuff useful for you. What I really like about this boss fight is that every time you destroy one part of his tank, he'll switch it up on you and attack with something different. Destroy his miniguns, he'll use his tank barrel. Destroy that while you're getting rockets launched at you. And by the end, you can see him losing power, as he runs out of minions and weapons and can only damage you by bumping into you, as retro 80 games are. Look at this Metal Gear Solid, this is how you do a good tank boss. He's defeated and dies by screaming,
You and your damn power of the Brofist.
wait, that's not who... Oh, whatever. At this point, while Felix doesn't say anything about it, it's clear that Felix has a different power compared to everyone else. Though, again, we really don't know yet. I also love this ending part.
My brother in the North Pole will avenge me!
Why would I go to the North Pole?
It's so goofy. If only Felix knew. Right after, we see some personal growth from Felix, where he's come to accept the gifts that his friends have given him and learns to have an open mind about things.
Stupid video game rules.
Oh well, Felix. I guess you need to have your arc a little earlier next time. We also get a call from Marcia, who asks for food. I love how Felix just does not give a fuck. Like, he has so much more important things to be worrying about right now than food. Like avoiding the guts of an exploding cow. The end of this stage reveals a straight shot to the subway that leads right to the North Pole. According to the map, this is not a very far journey. This is where we enter the subway. What should have been a simple journey is interrupted by... Marcia?
Poots, where are the pugs?
You just saw me take them. What are you on about? Okay, this is not what I thought was going to happen. This is what I'm going to consider the second boss fight, or kind of a gauntlet of a bunch of shit getting thrown at you. This is one of the moments that the enemy variety is really shown because there's no end to great obstacles here. You have to survive a full 94 seconds here before the train arrives. It honestly feels nearly as chaotic as 2020 mode on FNAF. I also love how the area ends by essentially cornering you to a single train door as these shadow monsters chase you down, and that is just complemented by the eerie atmosphere this place gives off. Arriving at the North Pole after what I'm assuming is an Uncharted 2-esque event, we get another call from a General Barrel. Well, his brother certainly wasn't lying. These fuckers planned this. He mentions having Shannon, and Felix gets mad. I love to see how we get to see how motivated he is. First as fans, now as friends. Even though he didn't want to go to the North Pole in the beginning, we're seeing how he's willing to do anything just to restore how things were before, or the happily ever after Steven likes to put in his movie. We get through some slippery ice territory and deal with some penguins and seagulls and elephants and yetis. This is one of the longer sections of the game, and I think its length is what is able to give it so much more variety from the obviously different part of the beginning. I also like how it splits off right when you enter the North Pole, giving you an option of what order you'd like to tackle things in, even though you don't really have a major reason to. It's just kind of nice to have a little input from the player. Eventually, Marcia calls us again. You know, I don't know why she didn't just come along if she was just going to keep calling Felix. Marcia, truly, is the most complicated character in this story. So complicated, I can't even begin to dissect her. Not my job, clearly. We eventually meet Shannon tied up. Apparently this isn't the first time either. I can't tell if this is a reference to a previous video or if she's gotten captured multiple times. Felix also asks a very important question.
How? They have no arms.
This is ignored because attempting to untie her reveals that she's actually incredibly slippery and will fly all across the stage. There's also a nuke here, because why not? Untying her completely causes her to fly across the world, so goodbye, I suppose. Right after we meet Cinnamon Toast Ken, who I'll just call Ken. I assume this is his natural habitat as he seems more shocked that Felix is here than anything else. He'll mention a snow barrel, which we can only assume is General. This is when Stefano will extend his godly hand to get Pewdiepie up a ledge he can totally not just jump himself. I also love this sprite. He looks so fucking worried. Or something. In the end, he'll have to sacrifice himself in order to get Felix... never mind, they just left him. Oh well. We approach a cave and, for some reason, Ken thinks his barrel-shaped snowman isn't a barrel. Here, we're revealed that Felix is required to gain the power of the Brofist, which I can only assume comes from inside of Felix, not something separate from him. This is interesting because the Barrel King never revealed needing Felix in order to get this. It makes it pretty clear that this was all a trap to get Felix out, including luring him out to rescue his fans and Shannon. We get to see another great moment from Felix, declaring that he'll save his fans from General. This will cause the barrel to go under the snow, and Ken will help Felix by sniffing him out. Boss fight time! This one is simple. Ken sniffs him out, and Felix stomps on him. Probably the most Mario-like one in the entire game. I also like how they gave Ken something to do in this. It makes him feel very involved. You have to be quick when stomping on him though, as taking too long makes General go back into the snow. He'll also gain a spike on his head and pop in and out of the snow to attack. Or other things will just pop out of the snow too. Even though it's simpler, this boss fight still has a lot going for it, and enough to make it incredibly fun and enjoyable. After we end this fight, we get a pretty ruthless moment from King Barrel where he insults General right before he dies, telling him how they'll have to hire him. Clearly this was a desperate situation, but we don't really know exactly why until we meet him, I suppose. Ken will then suggest the cave, noting that barrels were coming in and out and there was a prisoner involved, but he's going to stay behind to make sure that Felix isn't followed. This is unfortunate as he was incredibly useful, but at least we know we won't be ambushed by barrels and have our friends taken further. Entering the mines, Marcia will call us again, saying that she's bored again. Okay, cool. This part of the game is filled with spiky traps and elevators, and bats, and skeletons, and a reference to Zelda? How sweet. It's definitely unique compared to what we've just been through though. which is a nice break from the longer North Pole, and expected because we're in a completely different environment now. As we get further into the mines, we'll see Jacksepticeye tied up by barrels. King Barrel, who was on the phone, will mention that this should trap Felix. This proves my theory from earlier that they actually do need Felix for the legendary Brofist. Or maybe they just want to kill him in order to stop him from stopping his plans. Either way, since these two are low-level scrubs, Felix is very easily able to take them out and rescue Jacksepticeye. He overheard the barrels talking about their base being in Africa, so that gives us a new location. Jack also helps us throughout the stage by blowing up rocks with his laser eyes. In fact, he even blows Jennifer away too, who is a massive rocket desperately in love with Felix. Unfortunately, he has eyes for someone else. Jack's ability would be super cool if he didn't also stay behind like Ken did though. Exiting the mines, we are forced to go to the treetops in order to get to the barrel base in Africa. Even though the barrel forces remained, we're introduced yet again to a completely different force of enemies here. There are humans that transform into werewolves or other eldritch beasts, bats, gas that consumes most of the screen, and even more skeletons. Actually, this area reminds me a lot of Castlevania with its gothic approach, music, and even some of the enemies being ripped straight from the game. I'm talking about the skeletons, which behave exactly the same way as they do in the first Castlevania and the other games as well. This honestly feels like an homage more than anything like a rip, as it still feels in-universe with the rest of the enemies of the level. If there was anything from Castlevania they felt inspired to put in here, I'm glad it was the skeletons and not something like the god-awful and game-ending knockback that plagued the first few Castlevania games. Or hell, the Fleamen, aka the most annoying enemy in any game ever. I'm getting off topic, I should just save this rant for another video. Along with the new enemies, there's also the challenge of falling off the map to your death, a similar challenge to Nostalgia Skies presented near the beginning of the game. Apparently it was really hard because I died here the most in my recording of it, though not the hardest part of the game by far. Continuing, oh fuck, even this level is called Transylvania. There's no way this isn't somewhat of a callback, right? Felix gets to a dead end within the treetops, so he relies on his old friend Mark to give him a quick lift. Much like the subway encounter, this is a gauntlet type boss that we have to survive for a whole 99 seconds, which is just slightly longer than the last one. However, I'd say it's a little easier for a few reasons. 1. This stage is full of enemies you already know how to deal with, meaning you should have a good understanding and strategy of how to take them out without dying. 2. This place is much more open. You aren't limited to a short horizontal screen, but also have an entire screen where you can scale trees, get on top of cliffs, and have more opportunities to defend yourself. There are times when the gas comes and box you in the bottom, but that isn't nearly as chaotic. Markiplier will eventually arrive in a helicopter where he'll take us to Africa. It's interesting how we're asking Markiplier to pick us up in a helicopter when he apparently didn't even know how to fly one in his infamous heist. Man, so close to that castle. I wonder if we can hear Soma and Julius in there. He'll drop us from the sky with no parachute, and then say there's no fall damage. Felix, if that was true, then why did you die every time you fell from the sky? I'm feeling like I should say something about this, but I can't. I'm getting off track. We're introduced to a very unique auto-scrolling stage where you have to jump from rhino to rhino while also avoiding spikes, barrels, or the ground, because that also kills you. After getting through the Lion King as conflict, we'll overhear the Barrel King. Only for a moment though, as someone named Falcon Lover accepts it and immediately goes to attack us. This is the true next boss and the highlight of this area, as a massive giraffe with a sniper comes to no-scope us. A product of its time, truly. Falcon will jump and spin around as he no-scopes you, meaning you have several hazards you have to watch out for as you slowly dwindle his health bar down. But much like General, you only have a small window where you can hit him. After defeating him, he'll apologize and tell Felix he just wanted to be noticed. This seems to be an interesting theme in this game, but he does tell us how to get to the Barrel King's base, which is hidden in an app?
An app? Really?
It's interesting how disappointed he is in this too. It seems like you follow the trend of disappointment only to accept and enjoy it, Felix. We are then introduced to the most unique stage thus far, the UFGO app. Now this isn't the first time that a game has done a digital stage ever, but I find this area unique in the context of the game because it's such a lone entry. There are aliens and alien equipment that act as enemies to complement the barrels throughout the stage. Not only is the aesthetic of this area different, but so is the design. A lot of the stages before this one had a linear path to get from point A to point B, a very classic formula that has worked throughout the game. However, this stage has branching paths that lead into one another. It's incredibly open, so to speak. You can go up and deal with some vertical challenge, or you can just go straight ahead, as you normally would, to instead deal with the timed alien platforms. This stage has a lot going for it, not only with its branching paths, but also the extra areas that come along with it, which is a very sudden deviation from, as I said before, the linear design. And it's a very welcome deviation, one that I think works so well because this is a one-stage standout. Going through the app will eventually meet Cryotic. Right off the bat, we can see a lot of emotion coming from both Felix and Cry. He'll follow us just like any other companion, but it seems like there's something else lingering from the both of them, a tension that hasn't been checked. As we reach the end of the stage, we'll see a teleporter to the moon? As both Cry and Felix enter the moon, we hear a slow and almost haunting track accompany them. They ignore the laws of physics and are able to breathe and communicate fluently. In this beautiful landscape, they find the tension between them unable to be ignored, and grow closer to each other, with their hands finding a way to reach each other. Cry asks if there's something between them, but Felix shushes him, and leans in for what I can only assume is a kiss.
Let's not ruin this moment with words.
Unfortunately, Marcia interrupts this romantic scene and Cry tells him yes to go. You can see the hesitation in both Cry and Felix's actions, as if neither one of them want to leave this incredible moment they found themselves in. But Cry knows this isn't his place to go, and Felix knows there are bigger battles to be fought. So...
That's one small stomp for man, and one giant leap for Pewdiepie.
Despite the heartbreak of Cry, Felix looks onto the moon, ready to accomplish his goal of saving his fans. I also find it interesting that the first two things I make a video essay of have a major part on the moon. As we enter the moon, we are introduced to the final stretch of the game. This feels like an extension of the app, with the alien weaponry and the alien enemies making a return along with the massive amount of barrels, which only makes sense for the base of the Barrel King. There are also asteroids that rain down? Must be another barrel power or something. Felix himself also still has the wind animation of falling and whatnot. Maybe the moon in this universe has oxygen? But what it also extends from the UF Go app is level design, as it has a lot of side paths to interact with for extra loot and whatnot, though the stages themselves are mainly linear as before. There's also a major gimmick of zero gravity, allowing the map to be extremely vertical. It is reminiscent of the treetops and how they were structured, but this also means, just like the treetops, there's a chance of falling down and dying. In the first level, there's a small scale app-like level with a base of some sorts, but this mainly leads into the next part, where you actually enter the moon base. This is also a good moment, I feel, to talk about the main theme that plays throughout the moon, or the moon. This is one of my favorite tracks because it feels like you're about to enter something you aren't remotely prepared for. It feels like this is the end here, and that's only supported by the motif of the game's main theme being played in the moon theme. God, I love when motifs are played in other songs for a specific meaning. Here we're creating a parallel to the beginning and now end of our journey. But that doesn't mean we still don't have our own challenges to come across. As we get deeper into the base, we're also introduced to another gravity mechanic. There are these walls that force you up and down. I think it's neat that they're still introducing smaller mechanics even though we're nearing the end. And it also feels like an extension of the main zero gravity mechanic too, so it's not like it's out of place. There's also a few enemies from the subway, so it makes me think that the Barrel King manipulated Felix or tricked him into going to the North Pole by leading them there and ambushing them with all these creatures. But nothing else really alludes much else to that. Finally, we enter the final showdown. Through a slow elevator crawl up higher and higher of the moon base, we see a gorgeous shot of the Earth. Though not different to what we've seen before, it's surreal that we're finally at the end. It feels so nerve-wracking, mainly with the music support. It feels like a place we shouldn't be at, even if we were invited. Here, we can see everything. Our fans, the barrels, and...
Wait, where is the Barrel King? Shouldn't he have some sort of throne?
I guess it's time to just take out some barrels or something. What the fuck? The Barrel King drops from below and opens his mouth, revealing our fans?
What's going on here?
Here, the Barrel King says he has everything except Felix in order to get the legendary Brofist. But Felix obviously declines. I think here, if you haven't already, is where you would realize that the Barrel King and Felix have the same voice actor, that being Felix. I love this because it creates a parallel. It reminds me a lot of, spoilers for Persona 4, Adachi and Yuna Arakami. Adachi is the main antagonist, and I think making him and Yu, voiced by the same person, is meant to act as a literal parallel. This begins the biggest and longest fight in the game. The gameplay loop is quite simple, with the Barrel King, in the beginning, acting like a normal enemy, just 50 times as big, with other barrels coming in as well. They aren't just fodder either, they're actually necessary to damage the king. After about 3 to 5 destroyed, they'll drop a green jump pad that allows Felix to jump on the king and deal some damage. I find it interesting that the Barrel King doesn't actually have a health bar, unlike every other boss fight. It makes him seem more mysterious and dangerous, like you don't even know if your attacks are doing anything or if he's even close to being defeated. The first phase ends with a laser minigame as an interlude of sorts as the Barrel King prepares his second attack. This happens after each time you stomp him, and they aren't usually too bad. Coming back, he has a higher jump and a wider attack radius. After there's a fire minigame. Fire hasn't really been a major part of the game, so it's a little, it's there, Coming back for the third and final time, he has, I think, a larger attack radius, but it's no biggie. You just have to survive until you're able to get through the final... Oh shit. Never mind, he has 4 phases it seems. This interlude is the most difficult by far, as it has a revolving laser as well as laser machines that follow you and will also shoot lasers at you, and there are these platforms that have to dodge it all. It's fucking tough, but you only have to survive for about 10 seconds. We have to stomp on the Barrel King one last time before he is actually defeated? Oh, no, his fat ass just destroys all the fans. I mean, this is something that we expected and accounted for. The entire time you could see the glass slowly begin to break every time he jumped down. I really like this detail. Despite the fact there isn't a physical health bar, it's nice that there's a more subtle environmental one. Once he destroys the glass, Felix is able to use his fans to create the legendary Brofist, which stuns the Barrel King. Over the course of his journey, Felix has learned what the legendary Brofist truly was, and that it was something given to the heart, not through containment, which is something he clearly knew by the beginning of the battle by telling the Barrel King off. That's also why it didn't work with the Barrel King, because, well, he doesn't have a heart, literally and emotionally. Earlier, I mentioned their parallel, and I think this is what proves it. Felix and the Barrel King are staring each other down, and Felix is exactly what the Barrel King wants. He technically got everything he needed in order to have the legendary Brofist, but he wasn't able to have it because of his lack of a heart. Essentially, the one thing he was lacking was the one thing that made Felix genuine. That was what he was lacking, not necessarily a heart. This completes their parallel, or at this point more like a juxtaposition. I also really like how the fans have a voice. I don't know who voices these fans, but it would be really cool if they were actually Felix fans. Now, at the end, we get to see the Barrel King get destroyed and everyone, even the people back on Earth, bust into an awesome dance move. This reminds me of a lot of 80s movies where they have a dance party to end off on a happy little note. After, we get a cute little credit roll where it thanks all of the developers, actors, and even shows off the enemies with their names attached, which is sweet. It is also accompanied by a track that has every area's music remixed into it, which is really cool. And that is... wait, there's more. There's a short little after credit scene showing all the barrels bringing various parts of the Barrel King back together only so they can reconstruct them, I assume? I mean, the track is called We Can Rebuild Them. I imagine this sets up for a sequel in some way, but that was also 10 years ago and nothing has come out from Outer Minds. Who knows, maybe they're cooking something amazing out. And that is the ending of Felix Legend of the Brofist. A very nice ending for a very nice game. Actually, an incredibly perfect ending for an incredibly perfect game. I mean, every single second of this game oozes polish, and there's never a moment of displeasure with it. It's like Outer Minds achieved the impossible. Something that shouldn't even be possible has become possible. And not even that, but...
It didn't seem to be too hard to get a hold of SYLVAIN. But, as Alex said, he's incredibly private. I was only able to get a connection after convincing GUIZ to get me on a line pretending to have an offer of a new game to them.
Hello, Mr. Nick. I heard you had a game idea for a humble company.
If I may ask, why the voice changer?
My apologies, Mr. Nick, but I like to take precautions with new clients. I hope you understand, don't you?
Sure, of course, it's just a tad uncomfortable.
Oh, completely fair, Mr. Nick. I do apologize. I must say, I love your outfit. Very formal and classy.
Thank you. It's not often that my outfit is appreciated.
Why don't we just start with your game idea?
I think a game about connecting people would be interesting.
Go on.
During a massive pandemic, people would be forced to take shelter, right?
Likely so.
People wouldn't be connected. This is where a hero comes in and helps everyone get connected again.
Classic hero, then?
Yeah, you get it.
And what are the gameplay?
I haven't thought that far yet. I'm thinking maybe something nice and relaxing.
I'm sure that's a fine idea, Mr. Nick. But we, at Outer Minds, currently have our hands full.
Oh, you did perfect. I have someone in mind that you've worked amazingly with before. Someone only you can perfectly encapsulate on the big screen.
Who?
PewDiePie.
What?
I know who you are, SYLVAIN.
Excuse me?
You're the president of Outer Minds. The company behind Legend of the Brofist, starring PewDiePie.
What are you getting at?
Tell me about the virus.
What kind of childish joke is that? Was this meeting just a waste of my time?
Don't play dumb with me now, SYLVAIN. I've talked to your employees and not even they know about the virus. All hands point to you.
How does that prove anything? Since they don't know anything, it's suddenly on the president?
You're also the most secretive person out of mind. So secretive, in fact, that you've only revealed yourself to a handful of people, including PewDiePie.
Ridiculous. I'm sick of this banter. I'm
The
hanging.
moment you hang up this call, the entire CIA will be on your ass. So you better stay here and confess, or have armed forces outside your home.
Isn't that a little extreme for a video game?
Not when it concerns lives.
What do you want about now?
Do you understand what you're doing right now?
I haven't done anything. People are just appreciating a hidden gem of the 2010s.
If that was the case, then people still be able to critique it. But they can't.
What's so wrong with that? People are enjoying themselves. They're enjoying a fine game.
People are also being stripped of their own thought, making everyone into a collective yes man, which is taking away the entire point of art, the beauty of interpretation.
I haven't done anything. I don't understand why you keep pushing everything onto me.
If you aren't a part of it, then critique the game right now. Tell me one thing that's wrong with it. I'm not about to have human thought controlled by a company. Especially a company that strips personality. Just give me a damn cure to the virus so we can end this before it gets drastic.
I can't.
What?
There's no cure.
How?
Just
fucking tell me, Sylvain. How can a virus not be cured? Not even a vaccine?
No. And how could there be? Do you know how twisted the geniuses of Umbrella are?
What the fuck? The pharmaceutical company from the Resident Evil games?
Yes.
They're not even real. How is that possible?
Felix, Jailbird.
Stop playing coy with me. Just give it to me straight. I'm sick of this dance we're doing.
Felix was able to enter the game world. No one knows how he was able to do this. People assume it was just something he's had since he was born.
What? How does someone enter the game world? What does that even mean?
When a game is open, he physically enters the monitor or television and is able to be a part of that game. We learned of this ability to tell the tale of the Brofist to millions of bros that were patiently waiting for it.
So you used PewDiePie to get Umbrella in a Resident Evil game to make a virus.
Yes. After all, it was his idea.
The virus.
Yes. He saw the game's popularity was dropping and didn't know what to do. He asked us, and we provided him to a connection to Capcom. We were given an original copy of Resident Evil 2 on the Sony PlayStation for Felix to hop to. That's when he contracted William Birkin to make a strand of the G virus, named the B virus, or the Brofist virus.
That's fucking insane. And infinitely comical. You're telling me that none of the viruses in Resident Evil ever had cures.
No, not by Resident Evil 2.
So how does it work then? How come I'm not infected?
What? You're not?
No, I didn't like Legend of the Brofist. I still don't.
Why?
I don't know. I just don't like platformers, and I didn't like the YouTuber cameos that felt like Marvel cameos. Then I just generally didn't like PewDiePie as a kid. He was too loud and kind of cringe to me. The entire game just felt like a reference fest.
I see. Maybe there is a cure after all.
What?
You don't like Felix. You're the outlier. You can save everyone.
How am I supposed to do that? I think everyone liked PewDiePie as a kid, and especially played that game.
But you didn't. If you critique the game on a public level, like somewhere on YouTube, I'm sure it could cure everyone.
What? Me complaining about a game can make other people not like it?
Yes. You know how many people base their opinion on a video essay they watch?
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
Jaiden, Yoshizawa-san, I have a request for you. It's urgent. I need to make a video essay critiquing PewDiePie's Legend of the Brofist. I don't know if you've noticed, but it seems that there's been a pandemic involving the B virus. Something that makes people completely obsessed with the game. If you want to compliment it, go ahead. Give your honest opinion about it, but it's not perfect, so don't call it that. I've seen your Richtofen video. I know you have the capacity to hate and love. You may be small, but you have a real voice. Go out there and stop this.
Wow. Okay. I did not expect that. At all. I'm kind of in shock, but I'm also really happy. I like the fact that someone thought to come to me to talk about a game, even though I was already talking about it. I guess I'll just continue talking about it? Felix's Legend of the Brofist is a genuine masterpiece, and I'm genuinely shocked it hasn't won Game of the Year. Fuck, Game of the Century. I don't think anything will compete with this game for another millennia, but I'll keep my glaze on it a little bit humble. All in all, this game is genius and perfect, and everyone should—
I said don't call it perfect, talk about its flaws.
Oh, shit, right. Sorry. I'm still recovering, I guess. To be completely honest, I began this video with a lie. I do apologize about that. I mean, I didn't feel like I was lying. I was infected with some sort of virus from Umbrella? I don't even know. I also don't care. The main part is I have now been able to think freely. I can give my genuine thoughts about the game and not hold back. There were points before when I had to hold back because I knew I couldn't say anything bad about it. But now I can. So, let me be honest. To start off, this entire video isn't a lie. I do genuinely think this game is well made, especially for a sophomore project of a small company of 7. I think it's incredible that they were able to pull off a game such as this. It has a level of quality I expect from AAA companies, and it was done in less than a year. That's insane, but it's not perfect. There are some things that could have been better, and some things that were just done poorly. But I don't want to hate on the game in a light similar to the Richtofen video. I think this team and game are glorious, but I think there are some flaws about it, much like anything else. To start off, the game is too short. This is somewhat of a nitpick, kind of a—
Man, it was so good. I just wish it was longer.
Yes, thank you for interrupting me. But there are parts in the game that felt like they could have had more. It just seems weird to me that the North Pole and the Moon got the most attention, while some other areas were only one stage long, like the UFGo app. I can only assume from PewDiePie's video showing off the game that there might have been some content. I think there was, and maybe that's why they were able to develop it so quickly. I don't think the areas we were given felt underwhelming or anything, but I would have liked to see more. I think the abandoned subway creatures should have had a proper introduction, rather than being randomly thrown in that boss-like stage, kind of like the Transylvania stage. I would have also loved it if we actually went into the castle, or saw a bit more of the mines, or more of PewDiePie's Duck Island, or hell, the UFGo app. I just think the attention per area isn't exactly balanced, which is unfortunate to say the least. And that leads me to my next point of the extra stages. I left them out because I knew if I talked about them, I probably couldn't help complaining about them. Okay, honestly, they aren't really that bad, they're just kind of meh. There are 6 bonus stages, 2 of which are more of the nostalgic sky stages, 2 more being Christmas stages, and the other 2 are Halloween and Valentine's Day stages. I think most of these are fine, just nothing remarkable. Though these, I think, are what gave us the awesome skins, so that's a saving grace. I do, however, despise the Christmas stages because they're littered with one-shot vines that you can barely get around, and are also incredibly long, longer than the moon stage's length. I guess it'd help if you were the Duck or Mark, I guess. I can't really hate on them too much because they're just, well, bonuses. You don't have to play them unless you want the full 100%, which is fair. I do appreciate the sky levels though. It feels like these were maybe cut levels from the main game that were added after the fact. And they're enjoyable too. More of the same, but in line with my last point, if this game had 7 or 8 more stages, I think it'd be much cooler. It'd have more meat on its bones, more content to warrant the price.
But does the current price really justify the game that I get?
Fuck yes, incredibly so. It's so fucking great, but again, I'd love more. But I won't repeat myself any further. That brings me to my next point of the other playable characters. I think they're fine, but kind of the same. They look different, which is nice, but they aren't even that unique when you think about them. You'll probably only play one character because you like them more. Every character acts the same as PewDiePie save for the Duck. And yes, all of them have a special ability unique to them, but most of them are just invincibility. That doesn't scream, I'm a unique character. That screams,
I'm a unique skin.
You wouldn't call the skins in Fortnite really unique to each other, would you? No, they're just cosmetic. But you would call Richter, Maria, and Alucard unique to each other, wouldn't you? Yes, because they all play differently. Richter is the classic Belmont that has the knockback, a whip, and even some sick new moves. Maria is the grown-up version of a Rondo self that uses magic summons to accompany her strength. And Alucard is the tried and true, well, fucking Alucard, and he's sick, and... yeah, I'm getting off topic again. I should really just make a Castlevania video, shouldn't I? Either way, if these were just normal skins, that'd be totally fine. There wouldn't really be a point to complaining, but they aren't. They have a price tag, and it's an expensive fucking price tag. These aren't some Skechers glasses, this is a fucking Hideo Kojima pair of glasses. Yeah, that price. Which, as I said before, is totally fine, and probably what the devs expected you to do, as you have plenty of money to fully upgrade your one character. But it's like,
but what's the point?
Like I said, they don't really have a separate purpose besides being skins. Hell, you don't even get to become that character. If you play the game as, let's say, Markiplier, because that's who I played as the whole game, you act as more of a sidekick. A sidekick who is overshadowed by Pewdiepie. He actually seems like a massive dick if you play it like this, because in this scenario, Markiplier will be doing all the work and then Pewdiepie will take all the credit and talk to everyone. Like, damn! Honestly, this is more of just a funny moment than anything, but I think it'd be really interesting to see these characters matter to the story more. I think it'd be really funny to have the duck just quack at every dialogue prompt. Would it be 10 times more stressful and time consuming to have 6 other characters talk, sometimes themselves? Yes. Would it be 100,000 times more worth it? Fuck yes. But I'm not hating at all. This is, well, PewDiePie, Legend of the Brofist, not YouTuber. You get the point. A thing I do get genuinely upset about is how the characters end up in the story. This is a very solo journey for PewDiePie, which is fine, but then we have all these cameos, and then it feels like there's not really a point to them. The most important ones are probably Ken because he's actually in a boss fight, or Cry because of his little romantic moment. I think they're important in a way, but I would have loved to see more from them. More than,
Alright, Pewds, we're completely safe. But I'm gonna stay here and make sure no one gets you.
like, I have 7 other people covering for me. I don't also need you doing it. I'm also quite sure I could cover myself. Maybe this is a ludonarrative dissonance moment. Maybe I'm just given more numbers in-game than what I already deal with. I don't know. I really enjoy the story. I love how cute and funny it tries to be, and it doesn't really try to be anything else than that. It tries to be a PewDiePie video, specifically one from 2015, and I think it does that and then some. All the humor and characters and enemies are totally on point for being in a PewDiePie video. Things like Stefano, Shannon, Jennifer, PewDiePie's dogs, his headphones, hell, whatever. It's all very well done. But it's just disappointing that these YouTubers are essentially just,
hey look, I'm big and here.
And they don't have much more. If there ever is a sequel, do more with these guys. Or maybe Cry, I guess. Look, I'm not going to pretend like I understand what happened with Cry, but from what I know, there was some pedophilic actions surrounding him and his character. I've seen a major complaint of this game that Cry is in it. This game was made at a time where this wasn't known, or I don't even think had happened yet. I think to critique the game and say it has a problematic actor is wrong to do, because how the hell would Outer Minds have predicted that? Cry was a good friend to PewDiePie back then, so it makes sense why they'd be put together. It's also not strange to have someone like Minilad with Vaynos before his own truths came out about him and Mini lads. I'm sorry. That joke has been made before, and it's not funny, but I just couldn't hold back. So, yeah, if they make a sequel, leave Cry out if you want, but I don't think the retrospection of Cry's actions are at all a critique of the game. I do think the worst thing this game does is the Barrel King boss fight. Specifically, on anything that isn't easy mode. If you played this game before and you heard me talking about it at the end, you'll notice I left out a crucial ending part of the boss. Because it sucks, frankly. For some reason, when you're on hard or higher difficulty, you'll get an additional phase. Yay! And it's at the worst fucking moment, too. See, when you stomp on the Barrel King for the last time, you would expect him to blow up and die and end the boss fight and blah blah blah, but no! Instead, we're given a really stupid 5th phase, because why not? I will say before I go into anything else, I love the remix of the battle theme you get when you enter this 5th phase. It mixes the boss theme with the post-credits theme. I don't know why they didn't play it throughout the entire boss fight, because it's the last one, but oh well, I guess. So when this phase starts, he's essentially going to create a massive row of fire and have barrels bouncing and jumping at you. You're supposed to jump on these barrels over to jump on him, but you'll probably find it incredibly easy to lose your footing and fall into the fire, and get damaged, probably 2 or 3 times, which is just fun. And this isn't just once, like a last-ditch effort. He does this 3 times! 3 times! This is basically a whole different boss fight. And I appreciate that they thought to make this boss genuinely more difficult, but why have a massive gauntlet? I don't think this was needed. This makes the boss so much more exhausting because he's plenty hard without the addition. It wasn't like he needed some more meat on him like Falcon Level or General. No! He was a great boss that, while challenging, had a clear progression with each hit. But nah, let's just add another really stupid phase at the end. Outer Minds, thank you for being creative and thinking to add more to this boss, but also, this is not great. My advice to the player, play the whole campaign on hard, because really it's just normal, and then play this boss on easy, because the last phase is stupid. And no, I don't want to see comments saying I'm bad at the game, even though I'm not great at platformers, because it's just ridiculous to have a difficulty spike that happens right at the end of the game. I'm not really a big fan of a game being moderately difficult all the way to, what the fuck, when did it get so annoying? Finally, the controls suck. This is a PC only problem, but I don't like the arrow keys, and using WASD isn't any more fluid. Because this game wasn't built for that, it was built for a phone, which is fair, and from what I've heard, it works fine on mobile.
What about a controller? You could easily use the D-pad, or even your joystick.
Oh, true! Let me, Oh, wait. That doesn't fucking work! The Legend of the Brofist doesn't offer controller support on Steam, so, good luck with that. Overall, I think PewDiePie Legend of the Brofist is a great game. I think it is a game that exceeds the quality I would have expected from such a small studio. And I also do think that my enjoyment of it was heightened because I liked PewDiePie as a kid, and I also liked Jack and Mark. It was cool to be in a game and play as them. But is that why the game is good? No, it was genuinely fun. I think anyone could hop into this game and have a good time, knowing PewDiePie or not. I do think a lot of the story, mainly the references and cameos, become kind of useless if you don't watch PewDiePie. Like, you're not going to care when Stefano gets sacrificed, or when Mark comes in his jet. You don't know these people. That's the main flaw I think this game has. It could have had so much more. There's little in this game already found in it that I dislike. Even the bonus content is nice because it's still there. But there's quite a bit I think is lacking from this game to make it genuinely amazing. Or, hell, even genius. But then again, I was also put under a virus for the majority of the script, so maybe this game really does suck and I didn't realize it? Who knows? I guess you'll have to play it. Anyways, thank you for watching this video essay / short film. If you liked it, smash that like button in the face like a boss! And Brofists all around. PewDiePie, PewDiePie. And as always, I'll see all you bros in the next video. Bye bye!
As though there were no tomorrow. Take me out of this world tonight. Take me, make me forget my sorrow. So when I wake tomorrow, I'll know our love was right. Kiss me as though it were now or never. Teach me all that a heart should know. Love me as though there were no tomorrow. Oh, my darling, love me. Don't ever let me go. Love me as though there were no tomorrow. Oh, my darling, love me. Don't ever let me